welcome back to our 5-acre farm. This is the first video I've made all summer because just like last summer, I jacked up my back pretty good. I threw out my back last summer in July and I was done for the rest of the summer. This year I threw it out in August, so I lasted a little bit longer. And it's been about 2 weeks since it happened. So I'm feeling a little bit better. I can stand up straight, which is good. Long story, motorcycle accident from years ago. So about once a year I throw it out really good that I can't stand up and I'm in bed. So I've been in bed for a couple weeks. Back up, I'm doing my chicken tractors. I already have a batch of chickens in here, but there's 75. I got another 25 coming supposedly this week. My order got really messed up. I've already lost like 7 in the brooder. Not happy with where I got them. I'm not going to put it out there. It's not one of the online places. It's a local place. Anyways, today I'm going to be building a chicken tractor. I already got one built, but to do 100 chickens, I need 4 chicken tractors. Last year, I let them free range and I lost a ton of chickens. I lost a third of my chickens last year because the ravens and the crows and the owls would come down and snatch them up. The crows rip the heads off and leave them. The ravens eat them. The owls just take them completely. So anyways, so this year they're going to be in chicken tractors. So to do 100 chickens, I need 4 chicken tractors. So this one's already built and I'm going to build one today and show you how I do it. This is, I should say, this is a Salatin style chicken tractor. If you've seen Joel Salatin's videos, I did not buy his plans. I'm not giving away any secrets. I don't know what his plans look like. I'm just showing you. I looked at his tractors and pictures and videos, and I'm just going off based, kind of using that style, that look. Anything I do here is on my own. So for better or for worse, it may be all messed up. It may not. I thought this one came out pretty good. So again, I wouldn't give away someone's plans for free because he obviously makes money off that, puts in his books. This is not based off his plans, it's just based off his style of chicken tractor, okay? So I'll show you what it's gonna look like in the end, and I'll show you how I build it. So here are the chickens. That one looks like it's still healthy, just getting a dust bath. Not happy with the amount that I have lost already. 7 or 8 already. Yeah, that one's doing good, okay. And they're 3 weeks old now, this week. So they are okay without heat lamps. I've had heat lamps on them every night. This will be the first night they're not having heat lamps on them. These are in here. I've got left about 68, 67 Cornish cross. I've got another 25 coming, like I said. The place I ordered them from messed up my order. So I'll be growing them out into October, which could be good, could be bad. It'll be cool enough to harvest them. It'll be nice and cool weather when we're working. At the same time, the next batch coming in isn't going to be done till mid to late October. We could have snow on the ground by then. Anyways, let's get right into building it. As you can see from these joints, I used half lap joints. Half lap joints are very strong, very easy to do. They're just time consuming. But because I used half lap joinery, everything is flush. So the hardware cloth on the bottom here sits flush and I don't have to worry about any of it bulging out at certain places because I didn't just strap on the vertical piece of wood on the outside. If I did, it would be bulging out here. So instead, everything is all sitting flush. I have half of it open, so they have fresh air, fresh sunlight. I have half of it covered. This is just the plastic roofing from the big box stores. Put a latch on the front. The reason I did the roofing on the front is because that way I can put the feed and water in there, and the feed's not going to get soaking wet. If I made the lid on the other side, I'd drop the feed right in, and then if it rained, it got wet. So that's why I put the feed on this side. I have the yellow nylon rope there to, I don't know if it's nylon or polypropylene or whatever it is. I forget. I'll tell you in the end. Anyways, that's what I use to pick it up with. I have 5/8 carriage bolts here sticking out. I don't put washers or nuts on it or anything. I just throw the wheels on each morning and I pick it up and I move it. That way I only have to buy one set of wheels for all 4 chicken tractors that I have. I just have the 5/8 inch by I think 6 inch carriage bolts. Just drill a hole through there, stick them out, throw the wheels on, move it, take the wheels off. It sits flush on the ground again. And then I can use those wheels for the next tractor that I have to move. So this is the plan we're doing today. Let me go open it up. A small little carabiner here, just in case. I don't know. I don't think any animal's gonna get it open, but and that way I can put the feed and the water right down in there. Okay. So we've got all major predators in North America here in North Idaho. We do not generally have grizzlies come down in this area. Well, they can be found more south than where we live, but generally we don't have grizzlies in this area for the most part. We do have black bear. I do have black bear that cross the property. I do have coyotes and cougars that come in this area. So far so good. There's not a whole lot I can do. I can set up electric fencing, but I have a feeling if they really want it in, they could go over that too. So far so good. They've been out here with the lights on for the past week and haven't had any issues. So this is holding up pretty well. I will eventually move them to the other side of my property because that's between me and my neighbor, and then probably less predators over there. Over here we're kind of exposed, and I've seen coyotes in this very spot. I'm sure we've had mountain lions in this spot. The black bears tend to stay in the back part of the property away from everyone. So we haven't lost any of the predators yet. They've just been getting sick and dying, which, like I said before, is a little disheartening. You know. Anyways, let's get into making it. So we're starting with 4 pieces of pressure treated lumber that will make up the frame, the bottom frame of the 8x8 box. That's going to be our chicken tractor. The pressure treated lumber is going to go on the bottom because that's what's going to be touching the ground. That way it's going to last a lot more, insect resistant, rot resistant. So I've got one cut out already. This is a half lap joint. You can see 3/4 of an inch is left and 3/4 of an inch is gone. That's halfway between the 1.5 inch piece of 2x4 that we're using. I'll show you how I do it. You can do this on a table saw. As a matter of fact, when I made that one, I did everything on a table saw with a dado blade. Not everyone has a table saw, not everyone has a dado blade. And it's very difficult to do because of the length of this, because if you do have that stuff and you're a woodworker, trying to cross cut an 8-foot piece of wood, especially on the end, is very difficult. Circular saw today, if you're building anything by wood, you got to have at least a circular saw. Otherwise, you can't build anything. And circular saws are very cheap. This one was like $40 and it's rated top of the line. You could go pick one up at the garage sale for like $10, $20. Very cheap. It's a must-have, so I'm not going to use any tools that the average person doesn't have. But we're going to go ahead and make 4 lap joints on this piece, and this is going to be where the vertical columns go up. So to keep it light, I used 2x3 instead of 2x4 for the upper part of the frame. So it's the 2x4 is 1.5 inch by 3.5 inch finished dimensions. That's because the rough cut is 2x4, and then they plane it down to make it smooth. That's how you get 1.5 by 3.5. I know some people that don't work with wood very much are confused by that, but it's the finished size, the dimensional size. Anyways, so this is 2.5 by 1.5. So I need my lap joints to be 2.5 inches wide. And that way this fits in just like that, and it will be standing upright. And walk you through each portion of this. So I've got 1 lap joint at this end, 1 lap joint at that end. That's gonna be for my corners. And I'm gonna have 2 in the middle. Where I locate those 2 in the middle is pretty irrelevant. Just space them out equally. It's not of vital importance where you put them. Just space them out equally. You could do 1, I guess. I'd rather build it. I'll rather overbuild it a little bit. Make it as strong as possible so it lasts as many years as possible. So I've already marked my spots where my 2x3 are gonna go. All right, so now I'm gonna cut out. I set my circular saw 3/4 of an inch below here. From here to the lowest point of the blade is 3/4 of an inch, so it's just going to go halfway through the 2x4. So I'm just really careful on the ends as far as where I marked them. I'm careful to make those nice straight cuts. In the middle, I don't care as much, just get it through as quick as possible. But that's pretty fast. That would have taken me even longer on the table saw with the dado blade, the dado stack. It would have been longer. This was quicker doing it this way. So this is definitely the easy way. These pieces will come right out. And I'll take a chisel and clean up in here. And something like this, I'm using my old beat up chisels. I'm not using my good woodworking ones. You could buy them. You could buy a chisel for this job. You could go to Harbor Freight and buy the cheapest ones you can. It doesn't really matter. We're not, I'm not going crazy on this. This isn't a fine woodworking project. I don't need it to be perfect. We're not building a church. We're just building chicken tractors. Okay, so don't lose your mind over it. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. As long as it is wide enough is the key. Which that is perfect. And that'll be, now when I do the upright supports, half of this will be cut out as well. And it'll fit in there nice and flush. And then that'll be either screwed or nailed together. So this is the finished product. That was some lines I laid out before, then I wanted to move it over. So basically, using this one, you can see I went down this line carefully, and then the rest of it I just went as I could. I went as fast as I could safely do so. Then take the chisel it out, and that is flat enough. If you build it, like I said, if you're into real fine woodworking and you use these types of joints, you want it perfect. This isn't perfect, but it doesn't need to be. So we're going to do that for one more on this side, and then the other two pressure treated 2x4s are going to have only two in the middle, and I'll show you why. So utilizing a speed square made it a lot easier rather than remeasuring, because if you're going to measure again, you introduce the possibility of error as opposed to just taking a straight edge like a speed square. And again, you can pick these up really cheap. You can get a plastic one if you need to, if you don't do a lot of this type of work. I just simply use the lip against the edge to make sure it's square. Match the line up with the line I've already cut, the line that I want to match, and transpose that onto this piece of wood. I've done it there, I've done it all the way down. Now I'll just go through and cut them again, so it's a lot quicker than remeasuring, and it's less chance of error instead of remeasuring. You can see this one and this one are done. They've got 4 half lap joints in them. Okay, 1 on each end, and then 2 spaced out evenly in the middle. Again, they're structural supports, so it doesn't really matter exactly where they are. They don't have to be perfectly centered or anything like that. When we get to the top part of the frame though, I'll show you that they do have to line up with the top portion of the frame. And again, right now we're working on the other side. So let's just say this is the front, that's the back. Then you gotta have the left side and the right side, okay? You can put them any side you want, but let's just, for lack of confusion, front, back, left, right. Okay, I wanna line these ones up so that they, again, so it's easy to transfer those lines onto the other piece. I've checked both sides. They're lined up with each other, and you'll be surprised at how much you can tell with your fingertip, because your fingertip is so sensitive. You don't really, I mean, you can get a straight edge and go like that if you want to, but you can also just feel it, and you'll feel that they're lined up. So now I'll just make my marks. I only have 2 to make on these 2 pieces, so I'm just gonna transfer those and then I'll cut those out. Okay, so once all the lap joints are cut out for the bottom frame, then I can line them up and I'm going to screw them together. I happen to have 3-inch screws, so I'm going to use those. You can use screws, nails, whatever. I was going to use the nail gun. Screws are going to be more structurally sound though. The only thing you have to remember is make sure that, so we have 2 of each. We have 2 with 4 lap joints, and then we have 2 with 2 lap joints. Make sure that they're parallel, the like boards are parallel to each other, that they're opposite ends. So 4 and 4, 2 and 2. We'll go ahead and screw these together. So if you're still using Phillips head screws, get rid of those things. Torx screws are by far the way to go. Torx, you might call them star bits or whatever, but they're Torx head screws are so much better. Instead of the Phillips head driver, they use this. It's so much better. So much easier, that and a sleeve to drive them in. That and the sleeve to drive them in. Sleeve lines them up for you. Okay, so I made a mistake. Something I should have done from the beginning is take the 2x4 that has 2 lap joints in it and cut 3 inches off of it, because I want to keep it an 8x8 square. I want the whole thing to be 8x8 because that's what I have all the lumber planned out to be. That's what the tops are planned out to be. The green roofing that I have is 8 foot long by 2 feet wide. So 2 of those together make 8 foot by 4 foot. So that covers half the chicken tractor. So the 2 that have only 2 lap joints in the middle will go on the inside of the other 2 2x4s. So they need to be smaller, because otherwise you're going to have more than 8 feet, because 2x4 is 1.5 inches on the short side. So this piece right here is going to go on the inside of those other 2x4s. So 1.5 from one end, 1.5 from the other end, makes 3 inches, and that will keep the whole thing in 8 foot square. So because I made that mistake, I could go back and cut it now. I'm not just going to take 3 inches off, because then my 2 joints in the middle won't be centered anymore. So I'm going to take 1.5 from one end and 1.5 from the other end, and then they'll fit. I'll continue with my 8x8 square. Okay, so we cut 12 lap joints in total, or half lap joints. So now we need 12 vertical supports to go with it. What we're using for the vertical supports is the 2x3 lumber. Again, 2x3 keeps down the cost, not by much, but mostly it keeps down the weight. I didn't want to make it too heavy to be dragging around because you're gonna move it every single day, at least once a day. So that's why I went with the 2x3 to make it a little lighter. So I'm gonna cut 2-foot sections. If all you have is a circular saw, no problem. You can do it on a circular saw, no problem. Just measure 2-foot sections, cut it, easy enough. If you have a table saw or if you have a miter saw is by far the best tool for the job. Makes nice, easy cross cuts. And if you have a miter saw, what I'm gonna do is line up my cut where I wanna cut it. And then I'm basically gonna set a jig for it. So I'm using the L bracket on my miter saw stand as a jig. So I just need to put the piece of wood up against that each time, and I know I've got 2 feet, I don't have to keep measuring it, so it makes it a lot quicker. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is cut out the half lap joints for the other half. So we've got it cut for the bottom frame, the pressure treated lumber. Now I'm going to do the 2x3. These are going to be the vertical supports. Now one thing to remember is that you have to cut 3.5 inches on the bottom to fit into the 2x4 properly. But only because I'm personally going to use 2x3 for the top rail, I need to cut only 2.5 on the top rather than 3.5. Okay, so that's something to remember. It's what I didn't do on the last one. I had to actually cut them shorter. So 2-foot vertical support, 3.5 inches on the bottom. When I say 3.5 inches, I mean 3.5 inches of lap joint. So halfway through the wood, 3.5 inches up, we'll take that out. On the top will be 2.5 inches. Halfway through the wood, 2.5 inches. Okay, you'll see what I mean. I'm going to do it with my table saw and my dado stack. If you're a woodworker, you have one, this is easy, you know how to do it. If you're not a woodworker, you probably don't have a dado stack. So just do it with the circular saw, just like we did the others. The only thing is make sure I clamp the other ones down. I want it to stay still. These, it's probably imperative that you clamp it down, inside down. Don't just try to hold it with one hand and use the circular saw with the other. Unless, of course, you feel that 10 fingers is too many, but otherwise I would advise to clamp it down first, okay? So, for this setup, I'm gonna make sure I have 3/4 of an inch up, which I can't see anything because I'm getting old. Three-quarters of an inch up on my blade, which I do already. And I'm gonna make sure that from my fence to this part of the blade, which is gonna be the outside edge of the cut, is 2.5 inches. I'm sorry, first I'm gonna do the 2x4s on the bottom, so 3.5 inches. So remember, if you're gonna happen to follow what I do, 3.5 on one side, 2.5 on the other. If you use yourself 2x4s, then 3.5 on each side, on each end. Okay, so it's going to be a cut like this. The reason, if you have no idea what a dado stack is, the benefit of it is it's 3/4 of an inch. It's a bunch of blades stacked together on a table saw, and it's going to cut out 3/4 of an inch at one time rather than 1/4 of an inch as the single blade would do. That's why it's quicker. So my outside cut is going to be here, 3.5 inches, and then I'll just keep going until it's all gone. You'll see what I'm talking about in a second. So again, measure twice, cut once, 3.5 inches, should be good. dado stack, you cannot use the blade cover. You just can't, it won't work with the dado stack. So it's one of the things you have to keep in mind is that you got to keep your hands away from the blade. The saving grace is that it doesn't cut all the way through. We're only doing a half lap. So as you can see, so this part's going to be the bottom, and it's going to go into the other half lap of the 2x4 bottom. And then this part will be the 2x3 going across. Okay, all the same cuts at once rather than keep adjusting the blade. So all these are going to be for the bottom cut. Okay, that's a whole lot of cutting for what? Let's show you exactly what a half lap joint is now. 3.5 inch side for the 3.5 inch 2x4. Both of them are cut halfway through. Okay, put them together and they sit flush. Everything's even for the most part. Again, I didn't try to do this exact, but I'm pretty happy with the way that turned out. Everything's flush across, flush on the end, okay, flush on this end. Okay, so all my measurements were good, and that totals 1.5 inches. So the size of the 2x4 originally. So instead of taking up any more space, that hardware cloth, the metal wire, is going to be able to go right across and hit all the boards. So in other words, it's not going to be sitting like this, where the hardware cloth will be going across, and I'd have an 1.5 inch gap in between. It's going to be all nice and flush. It takes a lot more time. It's easy to do, but it's very time consuming. So I mean, I've been working on here for like 2 hours now just to get this stuff cut. So if you're in a hurry, yeah, I guess just slap it together. I've done that on my first contractor. But this one I don't want to keep doing this. I'm tired of building all this infrastructure for 3 years now. I've just been building infrastructure. I haven't really been able to enjoy any of my summers yet because I'm working all summer long. So I'm hoping that this is going to last. So, and then the other thing is I would use my nail gun to do it quick, but I don't have 1.5 inch nails. The smallest I got is 2 inches. That's 1.5 inches. It'll stick out 1/2 inch. Just get in the way of the chickens. So I'm going to use 1.5 inch screws. And again, this brand is BTX. This brand is Power Pro 1, whatever. For 1.5 inches, I like number 8 screws. You can also put glue in there if you want. If you want to use either liquid nails for, you know, some kind of strong construction adhesive, or if you just want to use waterproof glue like Titebond 3. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to probably use 3 or 4. I'll figure out in a minute. 3 or 4 screws in each one. Everything didn't come through, so that's it. That's one completed half lap joint. Okay, so do that all the way down. We'll go pretty quick now. Okay, so now that I have all my vertical supports screwed in to the half lap joints, see it like this. They're all screwed in, they're all sitting flush. Flush on this side, flush on the bottom. Okay, so now it's gonna, like I said, it's very, very time consuming. I mean, I've been out here all day. I mean, I go off to do other things, but for the most part, I mean, I've been a few hours just cutting lap joints. So it's very time consuming. But again, my goal is to not have to do this every season. Hopefully these will last me a while. Maybe before the winter, I'll give them a coat of oil. That way it'll preserve it a little bit. The bottoms are pressure treated to have ground contact. These are just regular pine. So these won't necessarily last that long out in the weather. If I left them completely untreated, they would still last quite a few years. You'd be surprised. Obviously you don't want to build a house or something that you're going to live in with exposed pine, exposed to the weather, I mean. That would be no good, because you want something like that to last 100 years. While this won't last 100 years, it's still going to last 5+ years more, 10 years. But if I just give it a coat of oil, that'll hopefully help it last even longer. So I may do that before the winter. Right now I just got to get these built. Actually, while I've been building here, I just got a call for the rest of my Cornish cross chickens are in, so I'm gonna go pick those up here tonight before that place closes. So now that I have this piece, right, now you see it's the width 1.5 inches. So what we're gonna do here is, this is gonna be like screwing a regular 2x4 in together, making a butt joint. Not the strongest of joints, just gonna do a simple butt joint. If I can remember, I'll go and get some metal strapping to go across here or on the bottom. That's what I did with the other one to reinforce it a little bit. But for now, I'm just going to put a 3-inch screw in here. That way 1.5, and then it'll go into here 1.5. So 3-inch screws into a butt joint. Should hold pretty good. And I'll do the same thing on the top as well. So that's it right there. That's one corner. So that should be strong enough. Like I said, I'll probably get some Simpson strong ties and put some strapping right there or underneath, just to help it last even longer. It wouldn't be an issue, except that we're going to be picking this up every day. It's going to be tilted up every day and rolled on the rollers. So that's the only reason I need to support it at all. All right, so there's the bottom part completed. I'll check the measurements. A little under 8 feet. You check from the bottom. The tops can always be moved. 8 feet there. Feet there. Again, not that it matters that much on this, but if you want to check for it being square, just pull corner to corner. You should get the same. If it's square, you get the same measurement across both corners. I don't really expect it to be square because the tops can be moved over a little bit when we screw the top rail in. It's pretty close. It's within an inch. So that's fine. So next I'll do, I have to do the same lap joints for the top rails. Pain in the neck, it's time consuming. This time it's going to be the 2x3s. And again, put a little time in now and hopefully it'll pay off by lasting a lot longer. I'm going to make sure it's flush on this side and clamp it down. Using clamps, great way to have an extra set of hands. And then I'm going to come through and mark all the spaces I have to cut. So therefore no measuring, it's all done for me right here. All right, well, here is the finished project for today. I've got the whole base done. Again, it took me a while because of the lap joints. It took me a while because I'm nursing a injury. Really humid today too. Anyways, got the base done. So now I'll do the top tomorrow. One side's going to be a stationary top. The other side's going to be a lid to go up and down. And then the whole thing will be covered with hardware cloth. And that'll be it. And then I'll do another one next week. And right now I gotta go pick up my 25 more Cornish cross meat chickens. All right, so the next thing I did was cut 2 pieces of 2x3 at 43 inches long from end to end, 43 inches, and cut 2.5-inch lap joint right in the dead center of both of them. Okay, these are gonna go on each end. I'm putting together the non-opening side right now. And I have a 48-inch piece that has lap joints on both ends and one dead center to match up with these ones, okay? This one's going in the middle of the non-opening side. It'll make more sense when you see what I'm doing. All right, so I'm gonna cut a lap joint 2.5 inches wide, right in the center of an 8-foot long piece. I'm not cutting this piece 8 feet long. It's gonna go right here. And that 48-inch piece is going to come right in the middle and meet up with this lap joint right here. So I made a mark, dead center, 48 inches, and then 1 1/4 over, 1 1/4 over, so it's 2.5 inches wide. This is that 8-foot piece with 1 lap joint in the middle. And I'm just simply going to line it up with the outside face and screw it down. So I'm going to have one that goes across here on the very end, one that goes I'm splitting this up into 2 halves, 2 4-foot halves, okay? 8 feet by 4 foot half. One that goes right in the middle, needs 1 lap joint in the center. Then there's gonna be one splitting the 4-foot half. That one needs 1 in the center and 1 on each end to match these. And then the one on the very end only needs 1 half lap joint in the center. So 1 half lap joint right in the center. I'm not cutting lap joints on the ends. So it'll just butt up against this. So the 43-inch piece is just going to butt up against the 8-foot piece on the end. I'm not going to use a lap joint for it because they're going to be screwed down into the top frame of the tractor. Nice long 2x3s with 1 half lap joint in the center. They're going to go on each side of this, okay, each end of this. So one over there and one over here. And I'm just butting it up against, just using a butt joint up against the end in the corner here. Okay, then in the center, I got a half lap joint. Nice and tight. Got a half lap joint right here to cross these two. Okay, and I got my other 8-foot long half lap joint right here. 8 foot long with 1 half lap joint in the center. This one, that's splitting my 4-foot end, okay? So you see how it's divided in half. That side's gonna open up. This side is a permanent closed side. So 4 feet by 8 feet, okay? This one in the middle, that's splitting it into 2 and 2. Okay, the reason I have it here is so that it gives it some more support for the hardware cloth. This one has lap joints on each end and one in the center, okay, to meet up with these 43-inch pieces. And this might need a little persuasion. Okay, let's a little tap, get that down. So now these are all connected by half lap joints everywhere. You can see in the corners here, in that corner there, in that corner there, there's just butt joints. No need to do the half laps. You can if you want, but there's no need to. You don't have to go crazy. You don't do any of these half laps if you don't want to, but I want to try and make it so that hopefully it'll last. We'll see. I don't know. Don't listen to me though. I am not what you call a professional. Okay, so I got this side done. I still got to screw it in, but just so you get an idea now of what I'm doing. And it doesn't really matter how you do the lap joints, if you're going to do the lap joints. I guess I should have done it on top so that that's what I meant to do, but I don't know, I just lost track of what I was doing. So that this piece sat on top of this piece, because obviously this one's stronger because it's shorter. That one needed more support, but the screwing it together will give it enough support. There's not going to be any weight on top of it. It's just going to be the hardware cloth. And then I have lap joint here to keep it all flush. And then when I make the opening side over there, the lid, it'll be basically the same frame. And instead of hardware cloth, it'll be the green plastic roofing panels over there, okay? So again, this side's just gonna get all screwed together and screwed down to the frame of the chicken tractor. And then that side is gonna be put together and then attached with hinges. So it's a pretty simple project. It's nothing difficult. It's time consuming. I had to work today, so I was only out here for an hour tonight. It's getting dark, so this will be the last thing I do for tonight. And then another night this week, I got to get those chickens out. They're over there. They're getting bigger every day. I got to get them out, split them up into different tractors. So I got 2 tractors right now. This will be the 3rd. I got my last batch of chickens still in the brooder. They're less than a week old. So I have my materials over there to build 1 more. So I'll have 4 chicken tractors total for the whole 100 chickens. Yeah, and that's it. So like I said, if you don't want to go crazy and use the lap joints, you don't have to. I just wanted everything to be nice and smooth and flush as I put the hardware cloth all around it. It makes it a lot easier for putting the hardware cloth on. So I just figured a little bit of extra time up front, time and effort, it'll pay off, hopefully. So that's it for tonight. Okay, and so today I just made this half of it. Remember, this half was permanent, so that's all attached. This half mirrors that half, except I didn't attach it. This is the lid, okay? So I kind of did my lap joints strategic. So I'm gonna be pulling up on this beam here, okay? So I put this one underneath the short one all the way down because it's gonna lift. And then the same thing over here, it will lift up, it will lift up, okay? So hopefully it works. Then I put this one going across, I put it on top, and just to add some stability and strength to when I pick it up. So now I'm just going to attach it by hinges. I planned on 2 hinges. I think 3 or 4 would be better, or a piano hinge might be good. So I'll just add. I'll probably just do 2 for today, and then I'll go get some more hinges and then add either 1 or 2 more in the center there. Probably 1 in the center and then 1 on each side. Typically, like when you do a gate or something, you'd only want 2 hinges because a third one has the possibility of throwing it off, making it uneven. We're not really concerned with that here. I'll throw the hinges on, then we'll drill the holes for the 5/8 inch by 6 inch carriage bolts. That'll go down in the corners here to attach the wheels. Then we'll wrap it in hardware cloth and then put the green roofing on it. So I have 2 packs of hinges, 2 in each, so I have 4 hinges. I'm gonna do 3 on this one, then I'll go buy another pack of hinges for my next tractor I gotta make. I think one of my other tractors over there is starting to break a little bit at the corner, so I'm gonna do 3 of these hinges. These are stainless steel hinges, galvanized hinges, whatever. As long as you have stainless steel, galvanized, something with zinc coated, something that's not gonna rust. I think I'm gonna put 1 in the middle and 1 on each end. I think that'll be the best thing for it. Hopefully the best, I don't know. Hey, Phillips head, I wish it all came with Torx. They suck. All right, so everything is done now. I got this on hinges. I did the 3 hinges across. I think that's better than the 2. Hopefully that holds pretty well. It doesn't really take much of a beat, and it gets lift up 2-3 times a day, propped up under it to feed them and water them. So it's not taking too much of a beating. So hopefully that'll hold. You know, and you could do 1x material as well. 1x would make it even lighter. The only thing with that is costs a lot more for 1x than it does for the 2x3, because the 2x3s are just construction grade. But it would make it lighter if I used 1x material. So these are the galvanized carriage bolts I got. 6 inches long by 5/8 inch diameter. I have pneumatic wheels already for the first chicken tractor I built a couple of years ago. I just need 1 set of wheels, since they're all going to be right next to each other, moving them together. No need to spend more money on a set of wheels for each one, because I just simply slide the wheels on, move it, take the wheels off, so it sits flush on the ground again. I do have some washers, some nuts that'll fit over this. If I'm moving it long distance, I can throw them on so that the wheels won't come off. But just moving it by hand a couple feet, there's no sense in putting washers and nuts on every day. So I slide the wheels on, move it, slide them off. If you need an excuse to go out and buy a new tool, the pneumatic staple gun is phenomenal. So handy on a farm, so handy. I have 1 inch staples in here now. They're 1 inch wide is the maximum, and then the length, I think probably a little over 2. I have 2 inch and 1 inch. I'll be using 1 inch here today, but I do have 2 inch staples as well for heavier construction. But great tool. So if you want an excuse to run out and spend some money, this has been fantastic. And the Metabo is really good. I have a nail gun and the staple gun from them. Great stuff. Thinking you can save some money using chicken wire instead of the hardware cloth. Don't do it. Chicken wire or poultry wire only keeps chickens in. It will not keep predators out. They'll tear right through it like a piece of paper. So if you have any predators at all, which pretty much everywhere it does, anywhere you're going to be raising meat chickens is going to have predators, even if they're just raccoons or birds. But don't go with the poultry netting or the chicken wire, poultry wire. It only keeps them in, will not keep predators out. The hardware cloth will keep them out. Best you can anyways. I hadn't done that before. I hadn't used the, forgot my hat in the house. I hadn't used the staple gun to nail, to fasten this stuff down. I need my hat again. To fasten this stuff down. Typically you wouldn't, but I'm not trying to make this completely waterproof. This is to keep the pouring rain off them, to keep the sun off them. It doesn't have to be, perfect. It's not an actual structure. It's used 2 months out of the year and that's it. So if it seems to be doing pretty good. The staples go right through. If it holds it down, I'm good with that. Hot today, 95 degrees today. Feels like it's even hotter than that. I should be at the lake, not doing this. I always say next summer, next summer, next summer. Hopefully next summer I'm not doing all this work, but I'm sure I will be. Using this eye bolt to put in the front to tie the rope to drag the tractor around with. I've got one of these universal sockets to put it in, pretty handy. All right, so got a little tiny carabiner just to keep it locked. I don't need to put an actual lock on it. To keep animals out at night. Got the eye bolts right there. to tie some nylon, or maybe not nylon, but polypropylene, whatever the heck it is, line to, because it'll hold up in the weather and the rot. So, and then that's it. That's the finished product. It is blazing hot out here today, so I'm done for the day. I think I'll go ahead and move these chickens tonight. When it cools off, I'm heading to the lake. So there's a chicken tractor. I don't have plans to it. If you want to build what I built, just follow the video. Nothing major, nothing real complicated, just time consuming. It's 8 foot by 8 foot, and hopefully it lasts a couple seasons, because I don't want to do this again. I still got one more to do. There's the materials for the other one I have to do, and then I'll have 4 of them and I'll be done. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.